friends and fiends, and welcome back to Nova Scotia, where the renovations continue. This week we sling some metal, get some gifts, and keep opening up the house. But to recap, last week's investigations into some bulging siding revealed not only more water damage, but also what this part of the house might have looked like 120 years ago. Day 2 of the sill plate replacement adventure. Yesterday we got a ton of work done. This morning has been a little bit slower because this morning was the planning stages. We kind of spent the morning outside moseying around, taking measurements, kind of figuring out our plan of attack. Phil is currently actually at the hardware store getting all of the supplies that we made the list for. He just sent me a photo, the most ridiculous photo of a really long piece of wood that looks like a sill plate sticking out of the back of my car. So that's gonna be fun. He's on his way, and then we're just gonna jump right in and start trying to close my poor house up.
So we did a little bit of exploration yesterday, and we think that this entire wall is basically being supported by a massive beam that's running in the corner of the house, and then probably another one along the top. So the corner is carrying the weight of this big beam, which is supporting the wall uprights, which is why the sill plate is basically floating, and these uprights are not resting on the sill plate whatsoever. So we think that if we support this massive beam right here, that's going to allow us to kind of, change the rest of the wall out pretty easily. However, never that easy, because the bottom of this is super rotted out and most of it is actually gone. Not great. So we are going to need to jack that up, support this, jack it up. In order to do that, I'm going to get started tearing off this siding here and everything so that we can attach like a big old 2x6 to it, support it, jack that up, and then we can get to work changing out the bottom here and then changing out the sill plate. I make it sound like it's going to be easy. It probably isn't. Canelle is living her best life.
And as always, it should surprise nobody that we're going to be trying our darndest to save as much of that gorgeous original wood siding as possible. And we'll be using these blades, which were very thoughtfully gifted to me off of my Amazon wish list, to help us in the cause. Well, if there were any questions about whether that was the original siding on the house, I can pretty much put that debate to rest because I keep pulling these out. These are the original cut nails. They switched over to the more modern type of nails in the early 1900s, so the fact that all of my siding is being held on by these, pretty good sign it is the original siding. Also pretty good sign that it is an absolute pain in the butt to rip off these walls. They are not coming easy, but I am adding to my collection. My cut nail collection. So under all these layers of siding, you can see the original corner trim for the house. It's that long vertical board that's under Phil's pry bar right now, and it has to come off in order for us to get at the corner post underneath it, but it is also a lovely original feature, and Phil and I both really like the way that these visually frame out a house, so it's definitely a feature that we'll be putting back. You can tell it's original by looking at the paint lines on the side of the board. So where the ends of the siding butted up against it, it's raw wood underneath. So it was clearly installed at the same time as the siding was. We can also get a better idea of the house's colors over the years, once you get all the other layers of siding off, that is. And this is actually one of my favorite parts of renovating old houses, looking at all the little clues you discover along the way and trying to puzzle together what they tell you about how the house was constructed, what she used to look like, how she was modified throughout the years, and in what order those modifications took place. It's absolutely fascinating, and it would be a fantastic topic for a video one day.
You need more leverage.
And eye protection.
Next was deciding how far up to cut this post in order to get rid of all these soft, rotten wood.
Farther than je m'attendais, but
Right.
okay.
The back is fine, so it's just a corner here. I have a big doubt that that little part here is holding the whole beam, because the beam stops here. So there's only a little triangle of stuff here that's being held by the side beam here.
Well, that sill plate's basically non-existent.
The trickiest part of the whole process, and an issue that would plague us multiple times through the sill plate replacement, was finding a solid surface to support the jack so that it would connect with the ledger board at the right angle and raise the house rather than sinking the jack into the ground or distorting at wonky angles.
You good girl. Okay. Hey, you talk up.
And that's where we knocked off for the day and hopped in the car to go visit Leanne and her husband. You can see that episode here and learn all about the fun items they contributed not only to the renovations, but also to the crafting. Allow me to interrupt the dark, dank, dreary basement talk with a little bit of bright and cheery, fluffy ball of flour and butter that is also helping to provide food security to people in need. Now, that might seem like a bit of a stretch, but hear me out because I'm about to tell you how you can enjoy fresh bread and support a good cause with today's sponsor, Wild Grain. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because I have partnered with them many times before. I absolutely love their service. They're a monthly bread subscription box. They support small artisanal bakers and pasta makers around the country and work with them to provide you with a wide and completely customizable selection of bread and pasta that's delivered to your door and that can be baked up in 25 minutes or less. And if that isn't good enough, because I have family members that can't eat gluten, I also want to emphasize that their delicious products also come in gluten-free options like these giant snickerdoodle cookies, as well as fully plant-based vegan options. And besides supporting small businesses and providing a delicious and incredibly practical product, they are also giving back to their community because every membership to their service purchased by you results in 2 meals donated to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Their bread is delicious, it is fast and easy, and I love supporting companies that are giving back to their communities. So this fall, treat yourself and your loved ones to warm sourdoughs and seasonal baked goods like their apple cider donuts and their pumpkin cinnamon biscuits. So if you want to check out Wild Grain, you can click on the link in the description and use my code ShannonMakes to get $30 off your first box. Plus, don't forget, you'll get free croissants for life. And now I get to snack on the sample. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Sign up now. You won't regret it.
Okay, so starting the morning off again, a little bit slow, but honestly not too bad. Phil is currently at the dump because when we first stepped foot outside this morning, it was frigid. It was so cold. It was, I think, 12 degrees, and we were like, let's procrastinate the moment at which we have to work for an extended period outside. Let's wait a little bit longer. So I helped him load up the car with a run of garbage. He went to the dump while I did a premiere here on YouTube with you all. I was doing the Addicts Antique video, just for reference. And when he comes back, what we're going to do is do a second run of scrap metal. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am loading up all of the metal that we've got around the house, and we're gonna do a run to the scrap metal place, try to make a teeny tiny bit of money, and then hopefully by that point it will have warmed up enough that we can get back to work on the house here. This whole situation, as you can see, it is still open. We have no sill plate in, so there's lots of work to be done, but we were hoping to wait until it got a little bit warmer, which honestly it already has done. You can see I'm out here. I'm not in my jacket or anything, just my vest. So it is a good sign. I think it's actually going to be a gorgeous day to work outside. Also, look at all these stunning fall colors I've got here. Super pretty. It is. I think it's going to be an absolutely lovely day to work outside. So let's hope that it's also productive as well as lovely. There's the doggo. Doggo. What you doing, Peanut?
Okay, freeze. Spend a second admiring the cute doggo, and then let's rewind to this part.
I was doing the Addicts Antique video, just for reference.
Now, I warned you that the timelines were going to converge and overlap with some of the videos from last fall, and this is a case in point. But while we spent a solid chunk of time up in my attic last autumn, I think it ended up being something like 7 videos in a row, there actually was even more footage of sorting through all the antiques and oddities that I found up there, but everybody was getting sick of being up in my attic, including myself. So we will have a couple more videos this fall just of antiques, which honestly everyone seems to love as long as they come in limited quantities. So don't be surprised when they pop up on your timeline starting next week. Yes, they are new videos, so definitely click on them. Yes, they will be really fun. And yes, we are gonna find a lot of weird things up there. Again.
Oh, look at Kenel in the background. Kenna! Look at that corgi. Look at that corgo. Boop, boop. Also, neighbor Mike swung by to drop off a couple things from his garden. So kind of him. First of all, we've got zucchini pickles, obviously from the zucchinis in his garden, and spaghetti sauce from the tomatoes he grew. And I fully admit that I'm actually not the biggest fan of pickled foods, despite 3 years living in Scandinavia, but I am very excited to try the zucchini pickles. And also just want to say that like the aesthetic of this is completely on point. The color, the handwriting, it's just like screaming cozy fall. I'm just constantly surprised and heartwarmed by how truly generous our neighbors are, despite the fact that we're gone like half the year. They're just so nice. Definitely am gonna try this. We'll report back, and then we'll make sure to give neighbor Mike his mason jars back so he can continue the cycle in future years. I swear to God, I pressed film. Ah. So $43 later, feeling quite rich. Like the high rollers that we are, we're gonna go treat ourselves to some Tim Hortons. Fuel ourselves through the rest of the sill plate saga that we're gonna do today. A pumpkin spice Tim's for the season, perhaps?
With a bit of cinnamon.
With a bit of cinnamon.
Literally, probably it's gonna be dog hair in there for sure.
It's sad but true.
right, we are fed, we are caffeinated, we are well paid for our scrap metal, and it is now way warmer than it was a few hours earlier. So it's gonna be a perfect time to go back and finally start some work on that sill plate. Okay, so now that we've succeeded in supporting this corner beam here so that it doesn't shift around or sink at all while we're working on the rest, we're going to turn our attention to the other end of the sill plate because we have to sister in the new sill plate. Right now it's actually not done correctly. They're literally just the two pieces of the sill joint are butt jointed together, which is like, obviously it stood the test of time so far, but we're gonna try to improve the situation by using a half lap joint to like join the two pieces of the sill plate together, the old and the new. So we're gonna work on that for now. And if we get far enough today, then eventually we'll be able to trim this corner down and install the whole sill plate. I don't know. Have literally no idea how long this whole process is gonna take us, so. Cross your fingers that we'll have it done by the end of the day. That would be amazing, but I'm not hopeful. It looks so good. Looks really, really good, Phil. Nice. Okay, friends, this is about to get really convoluted, so bear with me, but we're working with old houses and we're flying by the seat of our pants. So, change of plans. Originally, we went to all this work to cut out this half lap because we were going to leave this part of the sill plate, at least temporarily, over the winter. We were probably gonna change it out next spring when we tackle this run of wall right here. But we were like, you know what? It's in way better shape than this sill plate, so we'll just leave it in there for now, and then once this whole wall is open, we'll go ahead and deal with it then. However, we just were thinking about it and reflecting, and actually the sill plate that we got to replace this one is slightly different dimensions than this one. Meaning, well, let's just say, long story short, we've decided that we're actually going to pull this one out as well and try and change the whole run so that this entire side of the house has a new sill plate, and that will allow us to keep the same dimension of sill plate for the entire length. Because as it was, if we were going to try to join the new sill plate onto here, it was either going to stick up a little bit taller than this sill plate or hang down a little bit lower, or we would have had to like just plane off a quarter an inch or so of height off of the entire run of the sill plate, which didn't sound like a lot of fun, especially because we don't have the great tool to do that. So the good news is this is also really loose, should be fairly easy to pull out, and we can access the very deep corner of this from our basement. So while we were originally hoping to avoid this and just push it down the road and deal with it later, I do think it is the right decision. We're just going to change it all out right now. This entire run of sill plate is going to be new, and it's going to be peachy keen. That's not in great shape either. That's a big old hole into our basement. Wow. Hello. With the old sill plate removed, we could prep its replacement. And this time the half flap was a bit easier to do because we didn't have to cut it in situ.
What you doing? It's a good doggo.
Now I'm going to do that last cut and then we can work our way backwards.
Towards you or me?
That's fine right there.
Okay.
Me. You a hair. Yeah.
While we were there, we decided to cut the other half of the half flap because, again, it would just be much easier to get a really solid fit here on the ground before everything was installed. It's like sliced bread. So this would need to be trimmed a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like pretty good. It's not perfect.
How much is extra? So since this is pressure treated lumber, the sill plate, after you do cuts, you need to put some end cut on it to preserve the exposed wood. So we got some brown end cut right here. Just use the scrappiest brush you have because you're gonna have to throw it away after, and slabber it on. This is mildew and pest and mold resistant. The end grain here is going to soak a lot, so I'm going to dip multiple times. Yeah, drink, baby, drink. And we're going to let that dry overnight.
With the half flap cut, it was time to install a new sill plate in place, a task which turned out to be far more of a hassle than anticipated. And as you can see, we needed to trim just a little bit more off of that corner post in order to have room to slide the sill in.
It's coming, we're almost there. Almost. Oh yeah! Woohoo! Ta-da! Good God. Yeah, that'll do for tonight. Well, we are calling that a success for the day. We got the 2 new pieces of the sill plate cut. The half flap is joining up beautifully. We also then temporarily just installed the short bit of the sill plate in there so that it can kind of support this big, big corner beam right here overnight, just because we didn't feel like throwing another jack under there. So we've got that corner still has the jack. This corner has the new sill plate supporting that beam over there. So we are tired, we are hungry, and we have a friend's house that we're going over to for dinner. So gonna clean up the tools, take a shower, and go be social. But we did a good job today. It was a good progress. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm just supporting this a bit.
Oh. For all that's worth, what a...
No, but here's a wall beam, so
Yeah.
you know, just a little kiss here. There we go.
Yeah, that's also on the list of things to improve eventually tomorrow.
or the day after. Okay, bye. Pickle Talk version 3, this time with a dead cat, because I didn't have the dead cat on the previous 2 times, like the professional YouTuber that I am. Oh, my foot fell asleep. Just tying the camera. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.